Hello everyone, I do hope and pray that you are fine wherever you are. I want to welcome you all to this platform again. Now, I have been following the case of the Russia-Ukraine war, and yesterday I did a video about the developing war fronts in this war. In that video yesterday, I argued that NATO and the European Union members are turning against Ukraine. For a long time since the war started, NATO and the European Union members have stood with Ukraine. In fact, they have supplied the country with military weapons, they have supplied the country with finance, and they have supplied the country with economic aid. After all these years, in fact, by today, it is 577 days since Russia invaded Ukraine. Now, the European Union and NATO members are turning against Ukraine. That means that the likes of Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, and the rest are beginning to align themselves to identify themselves as enemies of Ukraine. They are not neutral per se, but I see them aligning themselves as enemies of Ukraine. In fact, the Ukrainian President Zelensky labeled these European actors as setting the stage for the Moscow aggressor or actor. In a way, Zelensky was referring to these nations, including Poland, though he did not name them specifically. He was referring to these nations as supporting Russia in some way. Now, while NATO members and the European Union are turning against Ukraine, Zelensky is seeking support somewhere else, and this somewhere else is the big brother, United States. A few hours ago, Zelensky was in Washington, D.C., and he met with the United States President Joe Biden. During the meeting, he presented his case, and in fact, he went there with one agenda: to seek for more funding and to seek for more military support to Ukraine in order for Ukraine to win the war against Russia. But I see a problem in his presentation, because the same yesterday I gave statistics supported with evidence confirming that majority of Americans do not want their government to continue supporting Ukraine. Majority of Americans believe that enough is enough, and it is time for the United States to withdraw its military and financial support to Ukraine. At the same time, a section of representatives, elected members in the United States government, believe that the current administration should not spend more funds on Ukraine. They believe that enough is enough, and financial, economic, and military aid to Ukraine should stop. In that meeting yesterday, Zelensky asked the United States government for additional funding, and just to be specific, Zelensky asked President Joe Biden and the White House an additional funding of 128 million US dollars. 128 million US dollars. This comes at a time when majority of Americans believe that their government should not support Ukraine much more. This comes at a time when a majority of elected representatives in the House of Representatives in USA are pushing for a ban on additional funding to Ukraine. I read an article that was posted by Al Jazeera, that was posted yesterday, 21st September 2023. And in this article, There are so many issues that have been discussed in this article. But one of the statements that catched my eye in this article, Biden, a Democrat, used his presidential drawdown authority to authorize the aid as further funds for Ukraine proved to be a sticking point in the US Congress. Now, Biden said, and I quote, "Today I approved the next tranche of US security assistance to Ukraine, including more artillery, more ammunition, more anti-tank weapons, and next week the first US Abrams tanks will be delivered to Ukraine." That is Biden acting on a personal capacity as the President of the United States and declaring that he has approved military support to Ukraine. When I was starting this discussion, I said categorically that majority of Americans do not want their government to support Ukraine any longer. And a section of the House of Representatives members also do not want the government to support Ukraine much longer. Biden, as the President of the United States and as an individual elected by this majority, elected by the people of the United States, has on a personal capacity gone against the people and gone against the Congress. The US Congress itself has approved aid amounting to over 113 billion US dollars. And the article that I have just quoted is saying that, but the last time Congress voted on an aid package was in December, that was last year, and control of the House of Representatives has since switched hands from Democrats to Republicans. Currently, it is being said that Republicans control the House of Representatives. That means that if there is any policy that needs to be passed in the House of Representatives, it will not pass because the majority are Republicans who will likely reject such a policy, such a proposal. Now, Biden has called on Congress to approve an additional 24 billion US dollars for Ukraine aid, a request that Republicans publicly, particularly on the far right, have balked at. Some have called, instead of slashing funding for Ukraine, in favor of domestic priorities and limited government spending. So I believe that Ukraine and the United States should consider a peaceful settlement of this war, and Biden going against the will of the people is contrary to what the Constitution states. The priority should be the United States people and not Ukraine. The solution to Ukraine is a peaceful settlement of the war and not additional funding or additional military aid to the country. That is my view.